Ace 4 suited. It's a pretty close hand. You can shove it, and that would be pretty standard, I think. But I think my edge is big enough for me to not want to do that. Ace Jack here. I think Ace Queen is a standard call. Ace Jacks get really close. I'm gonna fold it, but I don't think it's a mistake at all to make the call there. Might actually be pretty standard. I would probably make that call if I was on the button. That's how close I think it is. King 10 off here. 8-handed. You can shove and it wouldn't be a big mistake, but I much prefer to wait it a little bit. I have a stack size that's not in any kind of a rush. Whoop, I need to buy some more chips. Add on, thank you, sir. I always add on, and I always effectively I'm gonna let's fold. Shove it. I always add on because I believe that the bigger my stack is, the bigger my edge is, and I want to keep an edge that's as high as possible in the game. So I'm gonna buy in for the maximum at all times. And of course, there's like I'm not gonna go crazy. You see a lot of guys in rebuy tours that's just like, okay, I need to amass the chip stack, and that's all that matters. I think that might be true in a format where you're that's a little bit bigger field-wise, but in a 180 man, I think the field is so small that the bigger stack doesn't necessarily mean that much. I think this is a standard call. 9s, easy, easy, easy. Should be ahead almost every time. No 5. Sweet. I don't like ISO shoving for 20 big blinds there, like this Len Balls did. I think that's pretty spooky, but whatever. I'm not gonna comment on his play. Maybe I am when I do the post-game analysis, but it's not the optimal way of playing there. I promised I wouldn't go over Len Ball's play here, but I'm gonna do it anyway, because I think this is something that happens a bit too much in most people's games here. They ISO shove short stack all-ins a bit too wide. Now, let's just analyze this situation a little bit. If we are Len Balls, that would be this guy, and we're up against, oh, that was not my intention, and we're up against a short stack who shoves all in from, what's his name, double cups position, we can almost say that his action is irrelevant to us as Len Balls when we have Ace 4, because we're ahead of his range, and because of that, we can treat him almost as if he isn't there. And what would we do if he hadn't shoved? Well, we would definitely come in for a raise with Ace 4, so isolating, perfectly alright. Now, the next question, what should the size be? Now, if you ISO shove with Ace 4, let's go over the hands that you're going to get called with by COMG Tilts and lallez0r. Well, probably if we assume that these guys have a clue, we can say something like, I don't know, 7s plus, Ace Jack suited plus. That would be some kind of standard range, I think. Perhaps a little bit tighter than that. 8s plus Ace Queen. And against that range, Ace 4 is just completely dead. Completely dead. You're better off shoving, I don't know, 9, 10 offsuit than you are shoving Ace 4 in that spot. So with Ace 4 shoving, ISO shoving in this spot is a bad idea. What I would do instead, and what I recommend you guys to do instead, is to make a min bet to about 3,000 min raise, because that's exactly what you would do if you had aces or kings. So you have a little bit of disguising your range here, your actual hand value. At the same time, you scare away a lot of the hands that COMG Tilts and lallez0r is going to 3-bet you with. It's not like their 3-betting range is going to be dramatically different from their calling range when you make the ISO shove. Now, what would COMG Tilts shove with if Len Balls had made it to 3,300? Probably shove with exactly the same range. So why not just min bet it here, or min raise it, or whatever you want to call it, and get away if one of these two guys come over the top, because it's just you're completely dead when you have ace-4 against the 3-bets anyway. Now, if you don't, you run the risk of being in a case that's similar to this. Ace-4 gets shoved, and I pick up one of the hands that can actually call his shove, and he's just dead. So if you want to do yourself a favor, try not to ISO shove short stack all-ins too wide. It's not a big leak. It's a very, very little leak. It's probably one of the smallest leaks you can have, but why not just fix it? It's so easy to fix.